Jagrative. There's some real fundamentals to life. Not the life we're used to living, but to life. So like ground rules, just real basics. Very few people get them, but they're really there. So we're going to discuss, I'll just, you can break it any way you want. I'm going to discuss 5 of them. First, the most fundamental is energy and consciousness. If you don't understand energy, you're lost. If you don't recognize consciousness and understand what it is, you're lost. You're somewhere in between, just flashing around, flagging around, trying to do something, but you don't understand what's happening. So like, if you get thrown in the water, you don't understand waves, you don't understand breathing, you don't understand drowning, you don't understand swimming, have fun, because you won't. You got thrown into the mess. If you don't understand energy, you don't understand consciousness, what's in between is one of 3 things. Because you are going to deal with energy. But I'll discuss what that means. You're going to deal with energy. And you are conscious. So whether you recognize it or pay attention to it, it's irrelevant. You're a conscious being. You're aware that you're aware that you're aware. I don't have to teach it to you. I don't have to convince you. I've never ever asked anyone, are you in there? And they said no. No one, ever. It doesn't matter who they are, how rich they are, how poor they are, spiritual, non-spiritual. Very simple. Are you in there? Yes, I'm in there. All right? What is in there? In the purest sense, what is in there is awareness of being. You are aware. Period. You're aware. That's what's going on, isn't it? You're aware. Right? What are you aware of? That's the basics, right? When it's all said and done, and you understand it now, but when I'm finished, you'll understand, you're aware of energy. You are in there, and there's energy, and you're aware of it. Okay? And I said there'd be 5 things. Let's lay the groundwork, then we'll go through them. The question now becomes, what are you doing with that energy? Once I finish describing to you what energy means, what it is, how all-pervasive it is. You're doing one of 3 things. You're suppressing it, because you can't handle it. Who? You, the consciousness, are suppressing the energy. What energy? I said we'll spell it out. But there's energy. That's what you're experiencing. Consciousness is experiencing energy in all different forms that it can take. What are you doing when consciousness experiences that energy? Because you are experiencing the energy, period. There's not a moment you're not experiencing the energy. That's what's going on. Consciousness is experiencing energy. You're either suppressing it, expressing it, or transmuting it. That is the essence of what's going on. That is laying the groundwork for all of reality, for every single person, all the time. Whether they know it or not, it makes no difference. If you don't know you're breathing, doesn't matter, you're breathing. If you don't know anything about your heart and know that it beats, it doesn't matter, it beats. If you don't understand there's galaxies out there, and there's stars and supernovas, it doesn't matter, they're still there. It has nothing to do with what you know or what you don't know. It has to do with how awake are you, how clear are you, do you recognize what's going on, or are you lost in this suppression, expression, transmutation game of what you're doing with the energy. Those are the only things you can do with energy inside. You're experiencing it. Now what do you do with it? I'm suppressing it, I'm expressing it, or I'm transmuting it. All right, now let's get down to some specifics to make sure we're all going on the same journey together. I started with consciousness. That's the easiest. Are you aware? Yes. What are you aware of? Thoughts, emotions, vases, clouds. You're aware of 100 billion things, aren't you? You're aware. Who is you? There's all kinds of objects to be aware of, aren't there? But there's only one of you that's aware of every single one of them. Are you aware of the grass? Are you aware of the clouds? Are you aware of the car? Are you aware of your mother? Aware of your father? Aware of your kids? Are you aware of your emotions? Are you aware of your emotions? Are you aware of your thoughts? There's only one you in there. There's just all these different objects of awareness that you're aware of. All right. If you don't get that, there's no reason to keep going. Are you not in there experiencing these things? But the trouble is you get lost in them. And you don't pay attention that you're in there experiencing them. You're busy fighting with them. You're busy suppressing, expressing, or transmuting. And mostly ain't transmuting. But we'll talk about it. So I'm telling you, you are in there experiencing things. What do you do with them when you experience them? They either just pass through because you experience them, or you don't like them so you push them away, or you do like them so you try to grab them and hold on to them and express yourself concerning them, either anger or love and so on, or you learn to work with them, with the energies and raise them and transmute them. But you're in there doing these things, whether you know it or don't know it, doesn't make the slightest difference. Every single person is spiritual. Why? Because energy is spirit, and consciousness is dealing with spirit, is dealing with energy. It's just a question of how they're dealing with it. Okay, and I'm telling you how you deal with it. I push it away, and you do it all the time. I can't handle it. I don't want to deal with it. You just suppress, repress, deny, rationalize. That's all dealing with it. Do you understand that? In other words, I'm having trouble with it, so I'm rationalizing why it's okay. I'm having trouble with it, so I'm denying it ever happened. I'm Freud. Psychology is perfectly fine. They just don't understand the overall picture. They're just like doctors that specialize in their specialty, and they only see, kidney stuff. They don't see the holistic aspect of things, okay? So psychology deals with things, but they don't see the overall picture, that it's all energy, it's all the same, and your consciousness and the same consciousness is experiencing different forms of energy. The question is, what are you doing with it? So Freud laid it out. If you can't handle it completely and just your consciousness doesn't want anything to do with that energy it's experiencing, it denies it. That's called denial. It didn't happen. And I'm telling you, what are you suppressing? Energy. Energy that came in, that you experienced. How do you know you experienced it? Because you ain't suppressed it if you didn't experience it. I'm trying to show you how simple the world is. You make it complicated. It's simple. You're conscious and energy comes in. Let's do that. We'll get this energy thing down. I've taught you before, not one of you are looking out through your eyes. None of you are hearing the outside through your ears. That's not what's happening, and science will teach that to you. You're inside. You're not outside. You're not looking at me. What is happening is there's atoms here, molecules, atoms, that have taken form, but there's also form in the closet and the rug, and there's all kinds of form around here. And part of the atoms make up this thing called Mickey's body, right or wrong. But you're not looking at it. You are not looking out at my body right now. What is happening is light, photons, light, is bouncing off the atoms in my body. Not bouncing off the air, because it makes it through the air, but they're bouncing off when they hit my body. Then what's happening? Well, they're going everywheres, but your eyes are photosensitive. When it hits your retina, when it hits your eyes, they are sensors. They pick up the light. Which light are they picking up? The stuff that reflected off of me. Why aren't they picking up the air? Because photons go right through the air. They don't reflect back. Okay, fine. So now we have this light bouncing off of this body and hitting your retinas and your pupils, etc., etc. Those are windows. They're going in and they're stimulating your optic nerves. Why? Because they're energy. A photon is energy. Everything's energy. Quantum physics now says everything's energy. There's not even anything exists. There's just energy behaving as if it's a particle. Fine. So a photon is energy, behaving as a particle, comes up, bounces off these atoms, which aren't, I don't want to go there, okay? Go talk to a quantum physicist. The atoms aren't there, okay? There's just a quantum field of energy that's behaving as though it's positive or negative, has spin and has color, and then they're joining themselves together based on the forces, and it makes this thing called my body and everything else. You don't have to go there. Point is, they all say it's all energy. That's where they got, and they're right. So a photon is a very basic unit of energy, and it bounces off of objects. Why? Because that's its nature. I don't want to get into it. So it bounces off, it goes in through your eyeballs, comes in, it stimulates your optic nerve. What stimulates your optic? The energy. I didn't go touch your optic nerve. It's just bounced off of me. I didn't do anything. It bounced off of me. It went in through your retina, and the sensors, your optical sensors, they call them that. They're like sensors on a computer, aren't they? They're exactly the same. They sensed the light, and then they stimulated the optic nerve, and then they passed that stimulation up through the nervous system into the brain, and the brain manifested in the mind, not in the brain, in the mind. The mind is a much higher level than your physical brain, but it literally recreated the vision of me inside your mind, and you are sitting in there looking at me inside. Exactly the same as when you sit before your flat screen TV and watch a ball game in San Francisco. You are not in San Francisco. and you're not looking at San Francisco. Light is bouncing off the ball players, is being picked up by the camera, same as your eyes, is being bounced off the satellites or wires or whatever the heck it is, and then it's getting to your flat screen TV. But a flat screen TV is just there. Yeah, but it has digital processors that pick it up, renderers, and they render little dots on the screen that look like what it picked up over there in the ball game in San Francisco. That is what is happening in the real world to you. It's just your mind is so good at it that it creates depth perception, the whole thing. Not just looking at a flat screen TV. You're looking at a mind that created the whole thing inside your head, inside your mind. And then you are the consciousness looking at that. All of science will agree with everything I just told you. But it doesn't seem like that, does it? Because we create a whole thing out of it, all right? And it looks like we're looking outside. But in truth, we are looking inside. And it's all due to energy. It's all energy. I love the fact that I live in a day and age where they found out that no, it is not molecules, no, it is not atoms, no, it is not electron, neutrons, and protons, no, it is not quarks, leptons, and bosons. It's wavelets of energy in a quantum field of energy behaving as though, at certain behavior points, they behave as though they're particles. A true quantum physicist used the word particles in quotes. There are no particles. There's just waves that, if you look at them a certain way, whatever the heck it is, they behave as though they're particles, and then the properties of the particles can be positive, negative, gravitate, whatever it is. And they put themselves together and they make this, and it's just amazing. And it's all energy. I told you, there's consciousness and energy. And that's all there is. There's energy. Every single thing is energy. It's complex, how it puts itself together. And then there's quarks, leptons, and bosons. And I forget the bosons. There's, quote, subatomic particles, really wavelets in those fields. And then there's these forces, gravity, strong nuclear, weak nuclear, and magnetism. That's the only four forces in the whole universe, they say. In the whole universe, all everywhere. Four forces. You can understand these things. They're not complicated. What is gravity? Well, they don't know what gravity is either. But basically, it is a force that when things have mass, they attract other mass to them. And there's different explanations. What's the difference? You know what gravity is. I was reading a little article today where somebody asked a question to a physicist. People are saying there's no such thing as gravity. Well, Einstein questioned it, but they don't know what it is yet. And the physicist said, well, you can say it if you want, but if you pick up an object, have you noticed it pushes your hand down? What's that? Gravity. The fact that they can't explain exactly where it comes from or what it is doesn't mean it ain't there. There is a force called gravity, yes or no. Otherwise, you're floating off in space somewhere. So there's gravity. That's simple enough. Then there's the electromagnetic force. What is that? It's basically magnetism. There's positive and negative forces. They attract each other. Negative repel each other. You know that. You hold a magnet. You know what an electromagnetic force is. It is those forces interacting with each other that create electricity. It is those forces interacting with each other that create magnetism. That's why it's called the electromagnetic force. It's the same thing. Electricity, magnetism. The point is, you know that two negative poles repel each other and two positive poles attract each other. Well, those are things that pop out of those fields. This thing called electromagnetic force. It's one of the forces in creation. So there's gravity, the electromagnetic force. Then there's strong nuclear. Oh my God, that must be very complicated. No, it's not complicated at all. You should have a basic understanding of how energy works. What's strong nuclear? Well, you know that an atom has inside neutrons and protons. You all learned that in 5th grade. And neutrons, there's no charge, neutral, and protons are positively charged. Well, I don't understand. Until somebody explain it to me, and I'm explaining it to you, why packed inside that nucleus are a whole bunch of positive charges. Why are they not repelling each other? Have you ever tried pushing two positive ends of a magnet together? You can't. Then why are these, take carbon, there's 8 protons inside that nucleus. Why are they not repelling each other? How does that nucleus stay together? Why doesn't it just blow up? Because there's a force called the strong nuclear force, and that's all it is. It is the force that is so strong that it can offset the negative push of electromagnetism inside the nucleus. There, now you're a physicist. That's literally what the strong nuclear force is. The force that is strong enough, it must be there, because the thing stays together, right? And then there's a weak nuclear force, which is very simple. That's like radiation. Atoms fall apart, right? They can't hold themselves together. Why? There's a force pushing them apart, so they don't stay together. And that's when you have a lot of protons inside. They can't hold together. They decay. That's what decay. It doesn't matter. You just get a general idea that they say there's only 4 forces in creation. Gravity, electromagnetism, strong nuclear and weak nuclear. That's unbelievable. That's what's holding every single thing together. And it's all just energy. So I told you, there's only 2 things going on in this universe. Consciousness and energy. And consciousness is aware of energy. Consciousness is a very great thing. We'll get there toward the end. The point is, consciousness is aware of everything that energy ends up creating. It's all the same. So you're in there now. Your consciousness, you are the consciousness. That's what you are. You experience the world coming into your senses. Yes or no? Otherwise, you don't know what's out there. If it didn't come into your senses, you wouldn't know what's out there. You're in here, you don't know. But it does come into your senses. So what's coming into your senses is energy. And it's literally energy. And you feel it as energy. You don't just see it when somebody says something to you that you don't like. You feel weird. You feel all kinds of energy going on inside of you. And if somebody says something to you that comes in that you do like, oh my God, you feel all kinds of energy going in. So the energy comes in as form, but it stimulates your nervous system and comes in your nervous system. And then it's just pure energy. And you experience it. Now, what do you do with it when it comes in? All kinds of things come in. Some of them you're fine with. They just come in, you experience them, and they do what's called pass-through. Do you know that like 99% of every single thing that ever came into your senses passed right through? All the trees, all the cars, all the people that you don't know, every single thing. It came in through your senses, didn't it? And you don't do anything with it. It just merged with your consciousness. It became something you experienced. That's wonderful. That's very great. That's how it's meant to be. You're meant to experience the world. It's a gift that's given to you, and it just comes in, you experience it. But you don't do that with everything. There are things that come in that you say, no, I can't handle this. Can't handle what? That which just happened. Well, that's weird. Why? Because it happened. You are never, ever, ever going to make something happen not happen. It happened. Energy manifested that way, and it came in through your senses. That's a fact. And you experienced it. If you didn't experience it, it's not a problem. But you did experience it. And you did a number of things with it once it came in. 1, I can't handle it. No, you didn't say that. I don't like that. No, no, no. You do it all the time with big things, with little things. No, it's too hot. I don't like it. It's too hot. Well, tough. Because it is what it is, and you're experiencing it. And if you can't handle what you experienced, what are you going to do with it? Because it did happen. Is it hot? Yes. You're not going to make it not be hot. Not right then, right at that moment. So what are you going to do with it? You're going to suppress it, resist it, deny it. The act of consciousness pushing energy away so it doesn't have to experience it. Can you relate to that? Do you do that in there? Come on, shake your head. Have you done it your whole life? Something came in. It's real. It came in. I'm telling you, you can't ever undo what happened. You can try and make it not happen again. I'm not questioning that. But you cannot make it not have happened. No one has a time machine to go back and make it not have happened. So what do? Either you deny it, you resist it, you don't like it, you push it away. You have, I'm going to be bad, because physicists say there's 4 forces in the universe. You happen to know that's not true. I don't care whether you ever took physics in your whole life. You know for a fact that that is not true. Why? Because you have the ability to push that stuff away. You have this thing called will, don't you? Can you resist? If something happens really nice, can you hold on to it inside? Can you push it away and deny that? Do you have will in there? Are you passive in there? You don't do anything? Of course not. You have power, and that power is willpower. I can't talk too much, but you meditate enough, you'll understand where that power comes from. Consciousness, awareness, when it focuses, that is the power of will. When you focus on something, you are projecting. It's like a magnifying glass when hold it in front of the sun. There's light all over the place. Now when you hold that magnifying glass there, now there's a beam of light. Where was that before? It wasn't concentrated. And it can burn. It can go very focused. That's what happens when consciousness, which is capable of experiencing anything, everything, when it focuses, it creates this power inside. And when you focus that power on something that came in that you don't like, it pushes it away. You have the ability to push it away. And you can use rationalization. What's that? You willfully developing thoughts that try to make it easier to deal with the thing that happened. Do you ever do that? You're busy in there. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about life. We're talking about reality and your experience of life. So consciousness has the ability to project its force. Just think of willpower as the force of concentrated consciousness. And when you have something that comes in and you don't want to come in, you stop it. You're not going to let this all the way in, are you? Let's ask a question right now. Have you ever let anything all the way in? All the way in. Like you didn't resist it one iota, it just came all the way in. Like a hug that you couldn't wait, the first one that you ever had, and you loved the person so much. And now you're hugging. You're resisting? You're pushing it away? No, you stopped resisting one iota. You just opened up completely. What did? Your consciousness. It's not bothering to focus. You're not focused on, oh boy, he's hugging me. You're gone bye-bye. Ever see a beautiful sunset that caught you by surprise? And then all of a sudden, it blew my mind. I love it. You're not there. It just came right in and merged into your consciousness. Ever said, oh my God, it was so beautiful. It touched me to the depth of my being. Oh, that's when you don't resist. It can't touch you to the depth of your being if you push it away, can it? I'm not telling you to not push it away. I'm not telling you what to do. I just want to explain what's going on in there because nobody will talk to you this way. It comes in, and if you are open, if you're receptive, if nobody's resisting, if consciousness is not resisting, it touches the depth of your being. It's the most beautiful experience you ever had. I was looking at sunset and I felt like I was in the presence of God. You were, because that's what's inside of you. The kingdom is within you. You were so open that it stimulated the depth of your inner being. If you're that open, the energy comes in and it merges into the ocean of your being. There's a line in the Gita. The Gita is very, very deep. There's a part in there that says, Krishna's disciple is Arjuna, all right? And so Krishna says, there are great beings that are very, very high. They're with me. They've merged. The disciple asks him, Arjuna asks him, how will I know such a being? How will I know such a being if I meet them? Do they sit down like everybody else, talk like everybody else, or do they elevate? And it's so beautiful. The Godhead answering you, the total highest answer. And he says to Arjuna, he says, no. You won't know him like that. He sits, he talks like any other man, like any other person, right? If you would know him, in sorrow is not oversorrowed, in joy is not overjoyed. Lets goodness come when it will, and when it will depart. Lets darkness come when it will, and when it will depart. He says, just as all the rivers and streams of the earth pour into the ocean, but the ocean doesn't overstay its bounds. It stays the way it is. So the world of sense pours into the yogi and leaves him as it found him, at peace, serene, content. Equanimity is yoga. Isn't that what I just talked to you about? Isn't that beautiful? The world comes in, the world of sense pours into him and leaves him as it found him. In other words, he's so open that he can handle anything. He or she can handle anything. It comes in and it touches them to the depth of their being. It's sort of like, wow, what an experience. They're not judging. They're not resisting. Okay? It's a complete openness. That's what we're talking about. The energy comes in, and what do you do with it? What we do with it generally is resist. There's generally a sense of, I can't handle this, I don't like this, I don't want this, it was wrong, it shouldn't have happened. And how often do you say, no, I can't handle this? You say it all the time. That means you're in there, the consciousness is in there resisting the reality that has come in. What happens to that when you resist it? Freud talked about, I love Freud. The difference with Freud and yoga, because really yoga dealt thousands and thousands of years ago, dealt with suppression. It dealt with the fact that people pushed this stuff away and it caused a mess. Freud does not discuss who's doing the suppressing. That's yoga's world. He analyzed suppression. He analyzed the difficulty it causes. He saw how sick people get when they suppress, right? He saw every single thing. Who's doing the suppressing? What is the force in there that has the ability to push away what mommy did, and push away that the blanket got taken away too soon, and push away that grandma did this or anything? You are in there, aren't you? That's what spirituality is about. It's about you. All right. So one thing you do in there, and you do it all the time, is you push away that which is not comfortable to you. Where do you think it goes? And I told you, energy came in. It's an event. It poured into you. And you said, no, not on my watch. This ain't coming in here. And you used will to push it down, to push it away. Where do you think it went? Say, now you're in the realm of yoga. Now you're in the realm of true spirituality. It got held inside. I told you before, it's like energy can't sit still. Energy is moving. Energy is always moving. It's just wavelets. That's what energy is. Wavelets in the quantum field. That's what creates energy, is the wavelets. So energy is moving. What happens when you say no? This energy ain't moving inside of me. I ain't coming no closer. You put a wall in front of it. And so all it can do is circle around itself because it has to keep moving. I'm telling you something very, very deep. That's what suppressed energy, that's how it stays down there. It circles around itself. In yoga, it's called a samskara, a pattern of energy that came in that you didn't let pass through. And so you stored it inside of you in the form of this energy pattern that has everything about it. It has the feelings, it has the thoughts, it has everything. When it comes back up, you can say, oh, I haven't felt this since I was 5. It has the same energy because you stored that energy. That's why I said consciousness and energy. That's what it's all about, consciousness and energy. It's a dance of consciousness and energy. So if consciousness cannot handle what comes in, it pushes it away. And it pushes it way far away. Freud called it, denial. Pushes it a little bit away is repression. Another way is suppression. I just use the word resistance. If you resist it, it didn't make it through. And it's going to stay in there at some level. Even the tiniest little thing. You're driving behind a car that's not driving the way you like. Then he uses his blinker, he keeps stepping on his brakes, he's going 10 miles an hour the speed limit. I am telling you, if you see another car a year later in Boston that looks like that, your heart goes like that. You get uncomfortable. You get where your moods come from. Because you stored that in there. You stored that inside. And so it's going to come up. Not to mention big things like a divorce. 7 years later, you hear the guy's name. Don't talk to me about Ben. I don't have enough Bens for the rest of my life. Right? You stored it in there. That is because you used your will to push away the energy that came in. So now we're understanding it's a dance between consciousness and energy. So one thing you can do with energy, I don't highly advise it, is to don't let it pass through and just make yourself a mess. Store all that stuff inside of you. So now you're afraid it'll happen again. Now you're sensitive if somebody talks about it. And by the way, you don't just do it with negative things. You're so good at it, you do it with positive things. What do you mean? Oh my God, I went to this restaurant, it was so wonderful. I can't wait till I go back there. Would you want to go to this restaurant? No, I want to go back to... And you held on to an experience because you liked it. It's the same thing. That's called a negative samskara, a positive samskara. We're having a very mature talk tonight. I'm not talking about what you should do with your life. I'm talking about life. And when you understand it, wait till you see how good it can be. How much you can work with it instead of against it. So you hold on to these things. You hold on to the negative experience, you hold on to positive experiences, and you develop what are called preferences. I want to happen again that which happened before that I liked. How's that? I don't want to happen again that which happened before that I didn't like. So now you're a walking bundle of preferences, which are based on what? Your past things that you couldn't handle. Wouldn't it be wonderful that something happened, somebody yells at you, and you say, yeah, hi, I love you too. And it just passes right through. You have to carry around the rest of your life. Wouldn't it be wonderful if somebody came up to you and said, oh my God, you're the most beautiful person I ever in my whole life. Ever since kindergarten when I first met you, I just think you walk on water. And it felt really good. And you say, thank you. Never thought about it again. Now come back here and say it again. Be here now. That's what that means. Have the experience you're having and don't store it. Why? So that I can experience the next experience. I don't want to be all caught up in the old ones so that they have to repeat themselves. I always get here, right? If you do that, you're going to spend the rest of your life trying to make happen again outside that made you feel good and trying to make sure it doesn't happen again outside that made you feel bad. And that's your whole life. Your whole life. Every single minute of your life. That's what you're doing. You're trying to figure out what to make you feel good based on your past experiences and figure out what makes you feel bad so it doesn't happen. And you're sitting there manipulating, controlling everything and everybody. Come on. I want to find the job that turns me on. Why doesn't every job turn you on? Well, because when I was little, I had this movie and it was this and it felt that way. And plus I got fired and I don't want that job ever. No, you got all this stuff going on in there. That stuff is what you stored when you resisted the events that took place in your past. That's what you mean. It hit my stuff. That's what you mean. I got triggered. That's what it means. I'm moody. I can't handle stuff. That's because you stored all this stuff. You're scared. Where do your worries come from? What do you worry about? I worry that what I don't want to happen might happen. I worry that what I want to happen might not happen. Why are you carrying around this garbage from the past? Why don't you just experience the moments that are falling in front of you And do your best to not suppress it, to enjoy it, to appreciate it, to learn from it, and get on with the show. No, I got to carry all this garbage from my childhood, from everything. Oh my God. All right, now you're seeing consciousness dance with energy. Remember, now it's all energy, now you're consciousness. One thing you can do with that energy is resist. Suppress, resist, repress, deny, I don't care. It's all about resistance. I'm experiencing it, I don't want to experience it, or I don't want to let it go, and so I push it down and hold it inside of me. Is that the only thing you can do with the energy that comes in? No. Okay, so there's suppression, we'll call it suppression. What? Expression. What's that? You know darn well what that is. You told me you love me, I'll hug you. Why? What do you mean, I want to hug you? There's an energy in me that's trying to go to you. Yes or no? No, you've never experienced that. It wants to go out, doesn't it? You want to express it. What did you say to me? I can't believe you said that. And all this energy comes up inside. You want to express it? You want to yell? You want to throw something? That's expression. So as opposed to suppression, you're attempting to release the energy through expression. And it gets complicated, because when you store the garbage inside, and now we know what that means, it doesn't want to sit in there. Energy wants to be free, but you got it blocked up in there. So you get enough blocked up in there, and somebody goes boo, and you hit them in the face, because the energy wanted to come up, and it created a channel that, oh, I'm going to express this. Okay, I'm not suggesting it, by the way, all right? I'm just saying there is an example, as opposed to suppression, expression. And a lot of what you're expressing is the stuff you suppress, so they're really tied together, right? But there also can be just a natural energy that, survival energy. Something happens, right? Next thing you know, all this energy is coming out of you. Okay? So I'm just talking about consciousness and energy, the dance of consciousness and energy. So we now have discussed suppression of the energy when it comes in. Now we've discussed expression of the energy, which is like, please pay attention, because you like expressing your energy, don't you? And what do you mean by that? If my job inspires me and stimulates me, I just love doing it. I love going to work, expressing energy. I love doing this. I love succeeding. I love being complimented. I love things that allow my energy to flow. I love love. I love to feel that feeling of this beautiful love, energy, still energy, coming out of my heart and connecting with somebody. I'm expressing that energy. Okay? What if you're in a situation that you want to say something but you're not allowed to? And you really, really want to express yourself, but you can't. It's not appropriate. That's not fun, is it? You have to suppress it, keep it away. And later you tell everybody, you do anything you can. Have you ever had events happen to you that don't sit comfortably inside of you and you want to talk to somebody about it? Of course you do. I want to express myself. That's my favorite story. You've got all kinds of garbage going inside of you. Something happened that bothers you to pieces. You get your friend. I need to talk to you. Sit down. All right? Blah, 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 blah. Oh, thank you. I feel much better. Your friend says, I don't. You dump the energy on them. Do you see it's all energy? I know you don't see it that way normally. It's just energy being exchanged all the way down to the quantum level of all the physical plane, then coming in, and then you got this energy in there. And what do you do with it? It came in. You got to deal with it. So you either fight it and push it away or cling to it or express it. But there's another thing you can do with the energy that very few people know anything about. Why? Because unless you're evolved enough, you don't have a choice. If it comes in here and you can't handle it, you push it away. You don't want to talk about it. You just push it away. It's just the instinctive reaction of protecting yourself. You're protecting yourself from the energy, aren't you? So then it gets stored inside of you. Or you just express it. You can't help yourself. You just express it. What does it mean, I lost it? Anybody ever lose it? What'd you lose? The energy. You used to have it contained a little bit. It didn't stay contained very long. The next thing you know, you're coming back. Oh, what did I do? Don't judge. That's what happens. All right? So you're in there and you're dealing with that dance. And most people have so much suppressed energy that they have trouble being open. They have trouble accepting things. They're scared, or they're very aggressive to try and push. Somebody who's aggressive means there are things that need to be a certain way for me to not be freaking out inside. You cannot say that to me. If you say it to me, you're sleeping on the couch for the next 3 months, and you can't do that. And I'm going to control and manipulate the outside so that when it comes in, I can handle it. You know anything about that? And they teach you to do it. They teach you how to do it. They teach you how to win friends and influence people, how to get the job you want, and just how to just do what you need to do to make it so the outside world, when it comes in, feels better to you. Isn't that what everybody's doing? But the net result is most people have enough trouble with suppression and expression that it's not even worth talking about the third thing that you could do with the energy inside. But you guys made it here, so you're not those people. There's a third thing that you can do with the energy when you become evolved and conscious enough. It's called transmutation. That's a big word. What does that mean? It comes in. I see it's come in. I'm not comfortable with it. All right? The tendency is to push it away. But I'm a centered, conscious being, and I've earned the right to have a moment to make a decision. Do I want to store another one of these pieces of junk down there so I have another samskara? Or do I want to work with it to raise it up? You can raise it up. You can start to feel anger and breathe and let go, and all of a sudden you feel love. All of a sudden you feel this release up, raising up. It doesn't go out, doesn't go down, it goes up. Ever done it? Ever worked with something that started one way that wasn't so healthy and rose it up to where it felt better, felt good? Not by rationalizing, not by expressing, by transmuting, raising the nature of the energy. Okay? You're all capable of it. Most people don't know anything about it, and they don't do it anyways. All right? They just either push it away or they express it. There's this third thing you can do. All right? Meditation helps. All the techniques are about being conscious, being mindful, being in there, centered in your consciousness, and dealing with this energy when it comes up. The energy is going to come in. If it makes it through, fine. You don't have to deal with it. Like I said, at least 95% of every single thing that came into your senses passed right through. You don't feel like that way because the only ones you recognize are the ones that didn't pass through. Right? You held on to them. How many trees do you drive by all day? Any trouble with them? Well, if you happen to be a forester and you think there's going to be forest fires, all of a sudden every tree you look at scares the hell out of you. How many people in New York City do you walk by during lunch break? They just walk by unless one of them looks a little bit like your girlfriend walking with somebody else. All of a sudden it didn't just pass through, did it? Pay attention to me. You're doing this. It's all the same. It's just the atoms passing by in front of you. There's a bunch of atoms passing by. Not even atoms. It's really energy. But anyways, we'll give you atoms. There's just a bunch of atoms passing by you. You can't handle it? I told you, I have a periodic table. I never took a science class in my life, in business. I have a periodic table, a nice big periodic table sitting in my study. It's beautiful. Somebody gave it to me once, and I put it there, and it just sits there all the time. And I look at it, and what it says to me is, all right, which one of those elements, atoms, do you like, and which ones don't you like? Well, I don't have a thing going with the periodic table. Yes, you do, because that's all that's out there. How did it go from an atom to I don't like it, I can't handle it? Ha, ha, ha. Pay attention. Which one's male and which one's female? There's no such thing, is there? Wow. There's no atom that's male or female. It's way down below that. And so you start looking at it and say, there's not like or dislike. Which do you like? Which do you prefer? Which do you hate? Which do you love? No, there's just energy. What are you doing? You can't handle the reality of creation passing before you? Yes, that's right. I can't. You can learn to. You can learn to feel love for everything. You can learn to feel appreciation for life itself. You can learn to just be filled with joy and bliss and enthusiasm and inspiration every single second of your life. But what if things happen I don't like? They come in and you experience them. There's humanness in there. It's okay. It's not like you're not human, right? Somebody dies, you miss them, and you love missing them. What is wrong with that? But it's painful, and you love the experience of the realness of the pain. In other words, I'm not resisting reality. I'm not resisting that there are these experiences. Can I handle reality, including that it doesn't feel so good? I feel this love for this person, they run off with somebody else. Or I feel this love for this person, and they don't run off with anybody else, but they can't be with me. And I want to attach, I want to feel the expression. That's beautiful. You're saying it's not beautiful. Every experience is beautiful. Every single experience is beautiful. And they won't teach you that. They'll teach you how to not have bad experiences. Who said they were bad? You did. Anything can be up for somebody and down for somebody else. Up for you one day, down for you another. It's a question of, can you handle the experience? I'm talking very high to you now. All right? Can you be in there and love that there's a human side of your being, but you're not it? You're the witness. You're not blocking it. You're not denying it. You're not saying, no, I don't feel pain when somebody dies. No, I don't feel love. I had this tremendous love and now they're not with me anymore. And when I think of it, I feel this love. That's beautiful. It's life. You hear me? You go to Disney World, get all kinds of rides. You come down to the planet Earth, you have all kinds of experiences, don't you? Go to Mars, you'll have none. Go on, I go to Mars. See what it's like. Sand. There's nothing going on. Here, look all that's going on. Outside, inside. It's just this little piece of dirt spinning in the middle of nowhere. Pay attention. It's tiny. 1.3 million Earths fit inside the sun. I know you're tired of hearing it, but you shouldn't be. 1.3 million Earths fit inside the sun. And there are hundreds of billions of stars in your galaxy. And you drop down on one that has all this going on. We've got all our telescopes, James Webb, Hubble, everything. Nobody's seen anything. And you're on this beautiful little thing with orchids and animals and people and things to do, and all you do is complain. Now you understand why. Because you can't handle the energy that came in. I'm going to use a word that a lot of people question this, like your soul, your consciousness can evolve. Now what does that mean? Consciousness is pure, it's perfect, yes, but it's used to resisting. It has developed the patterns of resisting. An evolved being, according to the Gita, an evolved being does not resist. It comes in, they experience it, and they do what they can to work with it. They don't not work with it, but they can accept it. The Dalai Lama is a perfect example. I once saw a TV show with the Dalai Lama on it, an interview, and the interviewer asked the Dalai Lama, what do you do about what China did to your monks and the monasteries and all this thing? And he went like this, ha 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 ha, fake, but ha 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 ha. And she said, why are you laughing? Because my tradition says that we should be able to accept and honor and respect and appreciate every single thing that goes on in reality. So I start with laughing. Now let me deal with it. It's what I'm teaching you, isn't it? You have the ability to experience life. That's what you're here for. But you're saying, no, I don't want to experience this part of life. I only want to experience that part of life. Well, you're in trouble because it's all there. You're going to experience all these things. So you get to the point where you understand that your job here is not to decide what you want and then try to make everything be that way and fight with everybody and compete with everybody and be an neurotic mess. That's where the anxiety comes from, where the tension comes from, that's where fear comes from. You've decided how you want it to be, have you not? And you think it should be that way. Well, you're wrong. And I have proof. It's not that way. Every single human being is my proof. Anyone ever live. It's not the way you want it to be. You can struggle all you want. It's the way it is. That's what the Zen, when they say, flowers are red, water's blue, grass is green. Now go home. Things are what they are they not? They're not other than the way they are. Can you handle them? Can you handle your emotions? Can you handle your thoughts? Can you handle the energy when it comes in? Can you handle things? An evolved soul is one that can handle it all. Then what do? It's not that you don't do anything. Well, why would I do anything? Right now you're acting. You get up in the morning, you struggle for money, you struggle for a relationship because you need something. You think these needs are good. They stimulate me. If I didn't have needs, it's totally open, experiencing and accepting everything, I wouldn't do anything. You're wrong. You'd be filled with love. You'd be filled with real, pure energy, Shakti. Instead of blocking the energy or throwing it out, it builds up inside. And it raises. You will get to a point, if you practice this enough, to where your energy changes direction. It's a thing in yoga, I forget the name of it. But it's real. And all of a sudden, all day, every single minute, there's this upward rush of energy feeding you. Sometimes more than others, but it's always there, always feeding you. It's what Christ meant when he said, man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that leaveth the mouth of the Father. You're not just getting energy from the food you eat or from the experience you're having. There's this inner energy that's flowing inside. The Christians call it spirit. Yogis call it Shakti. The only reason you don't feel it all the time is because you're blocking it. You blocked it. You built all these blockages inside, and they're blocking your energy flow. There's another energy. It's a whole other level of energy, spiritual energy. And it should be flowing inside of you, feeding you so much that you're always filled with joy, love, strength, depth, so that now what? You want to express it. Now you're not expressing your personal stuff. This energy is expressing itself. And the next thing you know, you're helping people. St. Francis' prayer. May I do God will. Where there's sickness, let me bring health. And where there's sadness, let me bring joy. Because you're not doing anything for yourself anymore, because you don't need anything. So it's okay not to need anything. When you don't need anything for yourself, all of a sudden, all your energy, all the energy is coming out serving humanity, serving every single thing. All right? So there are the three levels. First, there's consciousness and there's energy. There you go. That's creation. Then in between is you. Right? By the way, I talk about the highest. I always go there. What if there's nothing blocking the energy that comes in? Well, then it comes through. And there's your consciousness is raised by that energy. Well, what if you don't resist at all? Remember I said resistance was the focusing energy down to push things around. But if you don't do that, then it doesn't push down, it expands out. And then you find out what the enlightened was found out, that you are that energy. You are the whole universe. My Father and I are one. Because you're not limiting yourself to yourself, all of a sudden it expands out instantaneously, and you become a great one, an enlightened one. That's what enlightened means. You have let go of what did Christ say? You must die to be reborn. I could go on forever. Buddha's teaching, Christ's teaching, the Quran, the Bible, the Kabbalah, they all say the same thing. When you stop being you become, as you realize you're God. Who is? The consciousness itself that's not staring at you. That's not having to deal with this suppression and expression. It's just basically it has let go and it merged. And that's where the great ones, that's the essence of yoga, merger. Now you understand. What do we say? You're in there and energy's coming in. That's just reality. Can you handle it? Can you in there handle what's coming in? And the answer is no. No, not right now I can't. So what do? You learn to. If you can't play the piano, you just all of a sudden sit down and play Beethoven. You do the scales. You learn how to play the piano, right or wrong. You learn how to play tennis. You learn things, don't you? Why don't you learn this? Why don't you learn the most important thing in your entire life? What? Handle life. But no, just learn. Start with the simple stuff. Start with the weather. Can you handle the weather? No, of course you can. You just didn't bother. You don't bother doing it. You don't bother working with it. Okay? There are things you can do with everything that comes in to not suppress it, to not have to express it because you can't handle it, let it go. And next thing you know, you bring it up. Always you're bringing the energy up. In a religious sense, or a spiritual sense, they teach you, and again, it depends on where you are with this God thing, the concept of God, whatever, I don't care. They tell you to take it and offer it to God. You've heard that, right? The AA teaches you that, right? You can't do it yourself. It's not will. Offer it to God. Offer it to God, right? What does that mean? Raise it up. That is all an act of transmutation. Don't fight with it yourself. Don't try to express it because you can't handle it. I dare you to let it come in and just do this. Just raise it up. Just don't try to figure it out. Don't rationalize it. Don't judge. Just here, you take it. And you don't have to give it to God. You can give it to the energy universe. Here, it's yours. You made it. Here, you take it. And the next thing you know, you're not building all this garbage inside of yourself. We've just talked about the highest talk I could ever have with you. Consciousness, what's its relation to energy, and then you can either suppress it, manipulate it, resist it, let it out, express it because you can't handle it, or learn to raise it up to where every bit of energy, I want every bit of energy, every single bit of energy, dark, light, this, that, everything, to come into you and make it through you. So what are bad things? What did Christ say? I'm a nice Jewish yogi, but I like Christ's teachings. It was said unto you, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, but I say unto you, resist not evil. Those are his words. In other words, even that, if it passes right through you, it can't touch you. It just transmutes that which was dark becomes light. So, thank you for listening. Very good. Jagradav.